Eh bien, salut à tous, c'est Nesfux, j'espère que vous allez bien. On se retrouve aujourd'hui pour un mini let's play, je pense en faire peut-être plusieurs vidéos. En tout cas, une c'est sûr. Nous sommes aujourd'hui sur ce Stanley Parable. C'est un jeu que je voulais faire depuis très longtemps. Le problème, c'est que j'ai jamais eu le jeu. Je l'ai acheté que récemment et j'ai jamais eu la motivation de le faire. Il était en promo, je me suis dit pourquoi pas, donc c'est parti. Commençons le jeu. Et pour ceux qui connaissent pas, c'est très spécial. Vous allez voir, je pense que vous avez jamais vu de jeu comme ça. En tout cas, si vous connaissez pas ce jeu, clairement, vous n'avez jamais vu de jeu dans ce genre-là. Je crois même qu'il n'existe aucun jeu dans ce genre-là. Je crois que ce jeu est clairement unique.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Voilà, donc vous avez grosso modo l'histoire. Et vous allez voir que c'est vraiment très particulier. Et en plus, c'est un jeu raciste parce que nous sommes en QWERTY. Voilà, alors, on va regarder un petit peu. On peut pas aller sous le bureau. Par contre, ah, ma chaise est là. Je ne peux pas sauter. Et en fait, ce jeu, ce qui est assez impressionnant, c'est qu'il n'y a pas vraiment de fin à ce jeu. C'est pour ça qu'un let's play, j'ai un peu peur, mais il n'y a pas... Hey, j'ai un message, on dirait. Je peux pas interagir. Ok. C'est à vous de décider. Donc là, on va sortir du bureau.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Mais il y a une note là. Je peux pas la lire, mince.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
J'ai pu éteindre l'ordinateur du mec. Donc peut-être que si je retourne dans le bureau, il y a quelque chose. Oh!
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Bon allez, on avance. Putain mais ils se ressemblent tous? C'est abusé? Tiens, éteins ton ordi toi. Vous êtes pas là, éteignez l'ordinateur. Enfin je dis ça mais je suis promis à laisser mon ordi tout le temps allumé. Username access. Ok, access. Oh, c'est bizarre, lui, son bureau à lui.
Stanley clicked on literally every single door in the office, because he doesn't pick up well on cues from his environment.
Arrête de te moquer de moi, la voix. Je suis sûr qu'il y a des easter eggs. Faudrait que je regarde sur Google s'il n'y a pas des easter eggs. J'ai jamais vu de let's play sur ce jeu. J'ai vu quelques petits trucs, mais rien de plus.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Donc là, il dit d'aller à gauche. Donc nous allons aller à droite.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Ah, quoi? Faut éteindre l'écran. J'essaie vraiment d'ouvrir la moindre porte. Oh, wow.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Mais en fait, Stanley est en train d'essayer de cliquer partout. Regarde ça.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Première porte de gauche. Ah oui, je la vois. Mais attends un peu.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Eh, j'avais pas... Je savais pas que la porte allait se refermer. Je vais où je veux, merde. C'est mon let's play, c'est pas le tien. Je vais mourir, je pense. De toute façon, je pense que dans le jeu, il va falloir mourir plusieurs fois. Bon, bah... Qu'est-ce que je fais? Je vais ici? Ou je saute?
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps... But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Merci. Je voulais voir si on pouvait mourir. Qu'est-ce qui se passe si je remeurs? Je veux savoir. Que va dire la voix? Eh, oh. Ok, on rush. Qu'est-ce qu'il va dire? Parce que là, je vais plus vite que lui, là. Je veux remourir, juste pour voir. Ça va être long si je veux tenter plein de petites expériences. Allez, je ressaute. D'accord, c'est exactement la même phrase. Ok.
A soft wind blew outside and perhaps rain started, and if it did, it stopped shortly after. Stanley hoped that he would one day see weather.
D'accord, donc cette phrase, je l'avais pas eu au début. Bon, allez, cette fois-ci, on prend la plateforme.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley.
J'ai envie de tenter.
Someone you've forgotten? What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Arrête de me faire chier. Je suis en train de chercher un petit peu les trucs. Il y a tellement de bureaux. Oh.
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Allez. Non, ouais, allez.
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door.
La porte rouge, tu dis, ok.
All right, fine, go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop
Oh, what the fuck?
You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map, because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing, because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. I'll tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin.
Non. Oh, quoi? Il m'a piégé, l'enfoiré.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. A 1? I mean, I can understand if you had reservations, you saw ways the game could be improved to more fully express itself mechanically and artistically, but a 1? That's not even helpful. What am I supposed to do with that? But I guess it isn't my place to judge. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Oh, what the fuck? Est-ce que c'est des amis ou pas? Ouais, non, mais les mecs qui font le jeu en moins de 20 secondes... Ah non, c'est un fake, ok. Et moi, je suis où? Stanley, c'est moi. 2328ème sur 2328ème. Bon, c'est pas grave, je vais à gauche, vous me cassez les couilles. Quoi?
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please.
Non.
Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up.
Qu'est-ce qu'il est en train de faire encore? Je comprends, c'est n'importe quoi ce jeu.
In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience. You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out, I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game, just to ease the pain? Let's see. What do we have here? Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot.
C'est n'importe quoi, il se passe tellement de choses bizarres dans ce jeu. Ah non.
Well, Stanley, is this any better? At last, the one thing you've always desired. A game I had absolutely nothing to do with. But is it enough? Tell me that, Stanley. Will it ever be enough? Well, I'll say this. I'm done making things for you. From now on, I will only create to fulfill a greater artistic purpose. Watch this, Stanley. I'm going to build a house. This will go here. No, here. And then... Let's see, what does it need? Yes, of course. And just to finish it all off, yes, it's complete. I made this, Stanley. Look at it. Gaze upon my work of art and feel ashamed at your own inadequacy. Ah, but you've only seen it from the outside. You've only gotten half the experience. Please, step inside and make yourself comfortable.
Ça, c'est la maison que tu fais quand t'as peur des zombies.
Isn't it grand? Isn't it perfect? It could only be better if... Wait, that's it. We must rebuild it out of diamond. Diamond everything. Yes, yes, yes. Come along, Stanley. We have to go mining.
Ok, direction les mines. Peux pas me suicider? Non.
Oh my, it looks like it's going to get a bit dark. Have you brought a light?
Oh mais t'inquiète, je vois très bien.
No. This is far more open-ended than I had in mind. I'm looking for something more narrow and linear. Something that makes you feel utterly irrelevant. This won't do at all. 1 out of 5. Even the diamonds couldn't save this one. Okay, new game.
Ok, jeu suivant. C'est n'importe quoi, on enchaîne les jeux. Très drôle cette petite réplique de Minecraft. Sur quoi sommes-nous cette fois-ci?
Yes! I don't even know what this game is, but I love it. You, trapped in a glass box with no way out, listening to me talk. Oh, it's inspired. I couldn't have done it any better myself. What is this game even supposed to be? I can't figure it out. Okay, now I'm curious. Let's go find out what the hell this is.
Bah, il faut mourir. Ou alors c'est ouvert. Ah bah c'est ouvert, bon.
Oh, it's a puzzle. Critical thinking, Stanley. Your forte. Genius.
Trop facile.
No, actually, you know what? I think that's plenty. I really don't care much to see you stumble through any more of these games.
Allez, salut. Ah, il me laisse juste ici, c'est ce qu'il vient de dire. Je tombe où, là? Oh, what the fuck, on dirait les Half-Life version horreur. Putain, mais ouais, c'est tellement ça. Où est-ce que je suis? Monsieur la voix off, faut que j'aille où? Le pauvre, je le suivais jamais, maintenant qu'il me laisse tout seul, j'ai besoin de lui. Ah, c'est ouvert là. Ah, attendez. Je reconnais, mais en fait, c'était pas ces textures-là. Ça, c'est les textures de Half-Life 2. Et le bureau 427, on est de retour.
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice, and if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
Ah, faut que je fasse recommencer, en fait. Ah non, ça charge quand même, ça me charge quelque chose. Mais je pense qu'on recommence. Ouais, bah écoutez. On va cette fois-ci écouter la voix off. Cette fois-ci, on l'écoute.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Bon, ensuite. Oh, bonjour. Bonjour.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Je lis vite fait les conneries qu'il y a écrit dessus.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
T'es sûr qu'il y a rien dans ce placard? Non, il y a rien. Je suis d'accord, il y a rien.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Est-ce qu'il se descend? Oula. Eh bah, je prends ma voiture et je repars.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Et on n'a pas bougé de place.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss, I have an office, I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real, I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this. So it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Donc on est fou, on est complètement fou. En n'ayant simplement pas monté l'escalier, on a sombré dans la folie. Bon, cette fois-ci, on le suit à la lettre. J'essaye en tout cas. Ouais, y a pas de fin normalement dans le jeu. Il me semble qu'il y a vraiment pas de fin. Enfin, un truc du genre quoi. C'est pas possible un jeu sans fin, mais vous avez compris quoi. En fait, il y a trop de choix. Par exemple, quand il m'a demandé de prendre la porte rouge, il me l'a demandé je crois 3 fois, donc ça fait 3 fois différentes où j'aurais pu prendre la porte rouge. Oula, ça a l'air classe, même très très classe.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life.
Ok, je suis dans le bureau, j'ai eu peur.
Unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Où est-ce qu'on va? What the fuck? J'aime pas le rouge, c'est flippant.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Mais aussi, pourquoi est-ce qu'il appuie sur des touches d'ordinateur?
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
914, ok. Ah, trop tard. Je tente.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
C'est pas rassurant ça.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Qu'est-ce que c'est? Il y a quelque chose. Ça c'est flippant. Bonjour, est-ce la mort? Ouais, j'ai l'impression d'être tombé de très haut. On va regarder où ça mène.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. So he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated, as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
On peut éviter, je pense, hein, du Stanley Parable.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
C'est dehors? Peut-être pas en fait. Putain, c'est beau.
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Attendez. Ça, c'est les tableaux qu'on a vus. Ça, c'est mon ordinateur. Ça, c'est mon bureau. On sort, on passe là. Là, on a le double porte. Et après, on sait pas où ça mène. C'est super sympa. Ah, c'est les crédits, en fait, ici. 431 et 436. Y a pas de porte, de toute façon. On va aller là-bas, voir ce qu'il y a. Mais après, je pense qu'on va se laisser là. Je referai peut-être, ouais, d'autres vidéos dessus. Parce que j'aime beaucoup l'idée. Il y a beaucoup de choses à faire. Office clock, ok. Ah, ok, c'est le bureau du patron. Il y avait 3 versions, on a eu la moderne, nous. Ok. Là, c'est le choix où t'as l'échappatoire. Après, c'est principalement de la voix, hein. C'est pas du gameplay. Le gameplay, tu fais juste qu'avancer, quoi. À la fin libre. Ah, j'ai pas eu la fin libre encore, tenez. Ouais, c'est une autre fin libre. Ah, ok, ça c'est ce panneau, mais en anglais. Je sais pas du tout où faut que j'aille. En fait, quel que soit l'endroit où tu vas, tu finis toujours au même endroit, quoi. Bon, j'aimerais bien sortir, pour ça, même si c'est intéressant. Ah, exit.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now. It'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let time...
Aïe! Aïe! Ça fait mal. Non, en vrai, je voulais pas quitter le jeu comme ça. Je voulais vraiment voir la mort. Et je suppose, théoriquement, on devrait se réveiller au bureau avec la voix masculine. Mais déjà, quelle est cette voix féminin qui écrit en bleu? Alors que normalement il est écrit en blanc, je crois. Alors, qu'est-ce que je dois faire? Je suppose que je peux faire... Ouais, je peux faire recommencer. Bon, écoutez, ce qu'on va faire, c'est qu'on va se laisser là. J'espère que vous avez apprécié. Je referai des vidéos dessus, je pense. 1, 2 peut-être. Mais j'aime beaucoup. J'aime beaucoup l'idée. Alors, je parle pas énormément parce que il parle vraiment beaucoup. Enfin bref, j'espère que vous avez apprécié cette vidéo. On se retrouve très bientôt pour d'autres vidéos. D'ici là, portez-vous bien et salut à tous!